periodically
Thank you.
periodically will be participating in these opportunities where people can just sign up. They see the bio and a photo of the different coaches, and they pick one to meet with. And so they're like 30-minute slots. And just it's a sample of coaching. And so it's basically a good opportunity for people who have not done coaching before, especially to get a taste of it. Because there were some people that walked up to the table where we had the sign up sheets and they said, well, I don't know what I would talk about. And we were trying to explain that just you pick the topic and we'll work with you on whatever topic you want to discuss. So I think it is a good opportunity. There was one person who was actually coached by Jerry Fu, who has reached out. I'm going to be meeting with her later today. She wants to know if she can partner with ICF Houston for their company.
Wonderful.
And so we'll see what happens. I don't know if that will, go anywhere or not. But anyway, they're also like Kaleem said that if people can give their business cards and some of the people may want to follow up with the coaches later or not. But it's a good chance for networking and coaching. A lot of good things about it.
Fantastic. Any comments, any thoughts, questions from you guys?
I saw this done at ATD had a development event last October, and I was excited to see. I didn't even know that it was that ICF was partnering with them before I actually got to that event, and it was really nice to see. There were probably 8 to 10 coaches and little private offices, seeing anyone who wanted to give it a try. I think that's a great idea. I'd love to figure out how I can get involved doing that down the road.
Yeah, so one thing that happens is we get so many more people. We send out an email and say, if you want to sign up, here's the form to fill out. And we have way more people typically, not always. We typically have way more people who volunteer than we can accept. So we had like 20 people sign up for this one, which is like, we had a lot already, even the ones that we did accept, but we have to tell the others, we took first come, first serve and maybe next time kind of thing. But yeah, it's a good opportunity.
Lorraine said she was also there as well. Lorraine, what are your impressions? Yeah. Please.
So it was fun to do being there for the first time. One thing I took advantage of is I went in, I didn't, when the meeting kicked off at 8:30 in the morning, I didn't have someone signed up for me. So I went into the main meeting and they had an icebreaker. And so I participated in the icebreaker, which was a chance to sort of use my introduction, quickly, give a quick highlight of, hey, go out there, sign up for Coaching Corner, tell them a little bit about what it was. So I thought that was useful. And then also, we were able to get, Rashmi, or anyway, someone was able to make an announcement at the summit, and that brought a horde of people out to sign up. So that worked well. Since this is Coaching Launchpad and you're all coaches, may I ask a question more related to participating in this?
Yes.
I found it a little bit, so it was, you have 30 minutes. You don't know the person. You don't have a lot of time to like establish trust, that sort of thing. You have to dive in. So I did struggle a little bit to stay in coach mode and not, in a couple of my meetings, I felt like I talked too much. Because they were kind of struggling with what was supposed to be happening, and I was really mindful of the time. So anyway, any thoughts from others about how to use 30 minutes well and be a great coach?
Fantastic question. Anybody wants to volunteer? Mark, you are smiling.
I smile all the time. My thought is 30 minutes is not long, But again, looking at, all right, we've got 30 minutes. What would you like to accomplish right now? What's the focus? And then building on that. And again, it's laying out that game plan and going, all right, have them define what they would like and then what that would look like, and then figure out the path from there. Again, they've got the answers. They know it's just us helping, again, kind of guide and direct that thought process.
Yeah, the one I struggled with the most was one who what he wanted to talk about was huge. And I was like, whoa, 30 minutes is not enough for that. But well, I mean, we did it anyway, right? I mean, we got somewhere, but.
And that's not unusual. So I go, all right, let's eat the elephant one bite at a time. Where's your one bite today?
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
I also say sometimes, so tell me ask me a question. Because sometimes they go on and on and on, right? Say, please ask me a question. What do you really want to accomplish? What do you want to be? And now all of a sudden they are struggling. So, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, okay. So my question is, and then you can take it over from there and start coaching at that point in time.
Good. Yeah. Thank you.
Chris, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, I think Kelly raised her hand before I did. So Kelly, over to you first.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say that even though we all know this, they might not. And especially with somebody who's shy, it may seem really weird to divulge, even if it's a business related thing, but to talk about something personal that they're dealing with. And so it might help to also remind them that anything they say is confidential and it's a judgment-free zone. Like, I don't know you, you don't know me, and I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very useful.
Thank you.
To build on these responses and reflections, first of all, Lorraine, I just want to highlight, you read my mind, because that was a question I was about to ask Karen and our Colleen. As I reflect on a 30-minute coaching session, not sure what the actual space is in which you're in, which could also kind of impact. And for speaking from my own experience, being on the client side on a conference as a coach, experiencing, hey, what is this like? And I chose to trust my coach. So I gave a problem statement, or I gave something I wanted to work on. And this person was writing so much. I was like, what is this person writing about? And then after 25 minutes, the person basically gave me a business card and said, well, if you want to solve this, just give me a call. So what I learned was it was more of a sales funnel I was getting into. And I allowed myself to be vulnerable to that. So what I would do if I would have 30 minutes with a person who's interested about coaching, I would simply connect. Just connect.
Fantastic.
Allow them to be seen. Don't necessarily go through what would you like to resolve. No, connect.
Yeah.
This is what coaches do. They create a safe container for you to be seen. And we haven't established a relationship yet, but this is me reaching out to you through my energy, through my focus, just being here with you. I have no agenda. This is what coaching does. And if you're interested to learn and understand more, I'm happy to have a follow-up.
Like a lot of reflection. Is that kind of what you're thinking? Like just coaching presence, just like a lot of reflection and active listening and showing that you're totally understanding what they're telling you.
Yeah, I would even say a step before what they're telling me, I'm offering what it means for somebody to be present, like you said. I mean, the average person, how many people do they have in their lives where somebody's truly present without any form of agenda?
Yeah.
If I go in as a coach with the agenda to demonstrate coaching, I'm already doing too much. It's all about me being with my client or potential client. Mark, you raised the art of.
That's a really good point, because like if you're trying to do a 30-minute coaching session, like typically a 30-minute coaching session, you would have already had all of that, like you were saying, Lorraine, all of that initial rapport building and engagement goals and whatnot. So maybe what Chris is saying is just more realistic for 30 minutes.
So I thank you for those comments. You are right on the money, right? Connect, because you're not there to give them a PhD course on coaching, number one, right? You're not going to graduate them. The idea is once you connect, and towards the end, if you are able to have for future connection. That's all you need. You know, and I always say that if you have one meeting, make sure that how you're going to connect for the next time, whether it be lunch or breakfast or just say a Zoom meeting or something like that. I think that's where your success comes, right? To get the new clients. And I would also say two things. Number one, I always ask the question, say, have you ever had a professional coaching before? That also establishes that where they are. Sometimes they will say, yeah, about 10 years ago I did, but sometimes they may be referring to mentoring rather than coaching or some group session or something like that, right? And the second thing is I like to establish some boundaries that we have 30 minutes, and then I will try to give you some sort of a flavor about what coaching is all about, and hopefully we can move forward. And before we leave, we can exchange our contact information. Is that okay? So you're starting in the beginning of making a contact, and towards the end, you know, because building a boundary is very important, I think. Otherwise, you tend to go off on a tangent, and everyone likes to talk, as you know. Any other comments? Any thoughts?
I'm curious about Mark's
Can we-
insight about the book that you've shared.
I'll put it in chat. It's called The Art of Alignment. It's a fantastic book talking about, again, I don't like networking, but I like building relationships. And so it talks about that process, some very simple, practical steps that you can do to, again, understand and build that alliance, build that alignment, get teamwork for both you and the individual, but also for teams, and building, you know, good relationship in teams and stuff. So it's one of the books that I'm processing right now. I won't say reading, I'm processing it, as well as reading it and stuff again through that. And again, figuring out how the best way is to develop those relationships, sometimes in a very, very, very short time period and stuff. So it is quite challenging.
Mark, what's the difference for you between networking and building relationships?
Networking, used car salespeople do that all the time. They want you to give, you know, referrals and information, and I'm using them for some purpose. Where relationships, it's all right, we're going on this journey together. It's not that I'm here to use you to get more and more. For me, I like having those relationships, and then potentially it may lead to more, but there's not that expectations. If I'm networking, then yes, I have relationships, but it's with a purpose of, you know, again, expanding, growing, utilizing somebody for a purpose. At least that's my viewpoint.
One of the things that I learned from, as you all know, I'm with LHH and as Ezra coaching as well too. And so one of the LHH person, CT client, taught me something which was very important. So he was looking for a job, and he said, I asked him, how was the interview? And he said, this, interview was great. And I took an article with me that I wanted them to know that I also like to read, and I like to keep up to speed and so forth. So he said, I handed it out towards the end of it. And I said, wonderful. I said, one thing I would make a change would be make sure you have either your business card or your name, your phone number, handwrite it, and give it out. Guess what? This person is going to have this article on his or her desk, actually. And somebody else may come by and say, what is this, Joe? And say, yeah, we had an interview with this person. Hey, can I make a copy of it? So your name and your phone number also goes along with that article as well too. And I kind of thought that was very interesting. So that leads me, if I may just share with you a couple of comments. For anything, any event, we need to prepare. And sometimes I haven't done a good job of in Coach's Corner to prepare myself, in a sense that what is my elevator pitch going to be, number one? Would I have enough business card to give them out to them? Do I have a book? Or just like Jerry Fu has, he wrote an article in the book. And so he's promoting that book as well too. I don't know if he did it or not in this event. But yeah, and then I was thinking about having an article about coaching with your name and information that you can share with those potential clients, right? That you can give towards the end of it. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, well, we had let's see, they're like 4x6 cards that say ICF and some information about it, and it has a QR code on the back with
Yeah.
more information about coaching. And then we also had a flyer on the table that explained some of the ethics and the confidentiality. But so when I've done the coaches corners, I just kind of dive into like, hi, what would you like to talk about today? I actually probably didn't do much good job on promoting or anything, but at the end, just hand my business card. But there is a fairly short amount of time, and
Yeah.
but I guess maybe I do a very brief, here's me, but just like get straight into what do you want to talk about today. And what Rashmi and I did go up there because I think there were people who were confused about it or didn't know what coaching was. And we were given like 1 minute to go up to the front and just say, this is a confidential coaching session. It's whatever you want to talk about. And then we have like all these people come in to sign up after that. So I think that did help. But, stressing that confidentiality, and they do get this gift of just undivided attention, which, like we were saying, how often do people get that? That's a gift.
One of the thought was that maybe I should talk to Cecil Fong, who is the executive director, to talk to him, and maybe we should have a session separately, like the other sessions they have. That might be very good. And this is where we can talk about. So we have more than 30 minutes and actually in a different format where we can present to them what coaching is all about.
Yeah, that totally does make sense. Yes.
Yes. Any other takeaways?
Kaleem, how do you what connected with me was the word elevator pitch. My best elevator pitch I ever did, I didn't speak a word. I literally bumped into the CEO of Shell in the elevator.
Yeah.
Which meant we weren't looking where we're going. So we kind of violated our own safety protocols. And we stood in the elevator for 30 to 40 seconds, connecting with each other without speaking a word.
Interesting.
And I think that was one of my most powerful elevator pitches, is allowing myself to speak without words. So what I've learned from that is I no longer have an elevator pitch where I need to touch upon all these items. I trust that my intuition will tell me if something needs to be said. And if something needs to be said, I can take in the information of the environment and the situation by which I meet that person that will bring forward the right words to connect or to offer that person something. Including at the moment where as I'm still working and transitioning to my business, supplier meetings with executives. And it's incredibly freeing to start trusting that. So that's a bit of my my journey on elevator pitches, and something I had such a firm understanding of when I was young, being in London, applying for big jobs, and now just easing into who I am and knowing I will connect in the right way. And I guess what comes forward is my key value is connection. And that's not just through words.
Any thoughts about that? That's a very interesting viewpoint, right? About
that's
speechless.
that's what silence. That's what silence is such a powerful tool in our coaching practice, because we connect not just with words. Actually, the most powerful connections we can make, especially with our clients, is that energy exchange between one individual and the other. And just that presence and that silence that allows that person to, feel safe in front of you. And that's probably what you created, Chris, when you were in that elevator. No nervousness, no, what am I going to say? You just transmitted that energy of, I'm grateful, I'm happy that I'm in this moment with this person. And that's what we should be able to accomplish with our clients, right?
Yeah. And it's about accomplishing that with ourselves first. So my journey to that is being in these meetings at work, closing my eyes, and simply meditating. try closing your eyes in a meeting and realize how how judgment might show up as you do that. And then as you become comfortable closing your eyes, then allowing your energy to calm down.
Yeah.
And I do this at dinner parties too. I'm learning to cultivate that safety and presence with myself, so in turn I could then pass it on to others.
When you do that, do you like address in advance, hey folks, like I'm working on, building my presence and listening, and it really helps for me to close my, I mean, do you preface you're doing that with a heads up?
I don't know.
I do. I start every session. Hey, let's stop. I know you're multitasking big time right now and you're rushed. Stop, close your eyes with me, take 3 deep breaths, and we do it together. And then we start. And it's amazing. You can do this as a team as well if you're in a big meeting and stuff. I try to do it because in today's world, everybody's running helter-skelter. You got so many thoughts on your mind, and it really helps bring them to the present moment and helps them focus. And, it's amazing how many people go, I've been looking forward to meeting with you because I know you're going to make me stop and breathe. Okay, if that's how we connect, then that works. And I mean, it doesn't matter if it's doctors and surgeons because they're running helters, or executives. They're always multitask. They've always got all these thoughts. It's like, all right, we're going to spend whatever time period we have. So let's stop and take 60 seconds. Let's stop, close your eyes, breathe. Now let's continue. And yeah, I make it a very, very intentional thing.
You know, we were talking before about what Chris made me think also about what you said, and then immediately the word presence came to mind. And I wanted to see if anybody else has a similar struggle. I am a very visual memory person. And so I usually take a lot of notes, and I realized that I don't feel like I'm being as present because I'm usually about half a second to 2 seconds behind what the person is saying when I'm writing. And so I thought, okay, I'll try not taking any notes. But when I have so many things going on, if I don't, the next week when I meet with them, I may not remember exactly what was said and what we were doing because I don't record all my sessions. What do you guys think about writing notes versus not?
That's a very good question, by the way. This is some people struggle with that, right? Any thoughts?
I can share
Yeah.
my
Please.
practice after trying different ways because I enjoy taking notes. So if I'm virtual, I will not lose eye contact, but I may write down key words that I hear. I won't write like a whole sentence. I'll just, if I hear them or if I see them doing something like they're deflecting with laughing, or they're, some physical thing they're doing that's giving me information, I will jot that down. And then as soon as we're done, I will stop and take more copious notes. But when I'm live, after trying a couple of times, I found that taking notes when I'm in front of someone, it just made me feel like exactly what you're saying, like somehow I wasn't present enough, or maybe their perception is that I wasn't present enough. So in that case, the only time I will take notes is if we're, if the coachee is beginning to talk about some ideas they're having about how they're going to address whatever we're talking about, I'll write it in front of them and we'll look at that together. I'll say, okay, so far you've said you're thinking of these 5 things to do, so it'll be sort of more of a together note-taking thing. Anyway, that's what I've been doing.
No, that's interesting, right? So in my case, some of my clients, they actually take notes themselves, and sometimes their eyes would be on the desk and say, oh, by the way, I'm sorry, Kaleem, I'm just taking notes, so I allow them to do that. But when they're writing notes, they're involved as well visually too. And so they're engaged in conversation as well. And I also subscribe to what Lorraine was talking about, is that I don't write too long of a sentences, just keywords. While I'm looking at them in the camera, I may just look at, very quickly in seconds to write, just to make sure that it's documented properly, yeah. And that really helps because remembering for the next session and where we left off, where you're going to start, that's really the key for connecting, yeah.
Brian raised
Definitely.
his hand a while back.
Yeah. Thank you.
Maybe
Thank you.
sure.
Sorry
I
about
was-
that. Yeah.
I'll answer on the that's fine. No, I was gonna answer on that. I definitely am of the school of feeling like notes takes me out of presence. And
Mhm.
so I rarely do it. But sometimes there's a major thing that I'm like, oh, I need to note this down. And I try to do it, on Zoom, not being obvious about it, but sometimes it becomes clear that I'm making a note. But one of the things I do in terms of with my clients, and they don't always do this, but I request them to send me an email after our session, jotting down their takeaways and their notes. And so that way it helps them focus on what they got and it gives me something for my own information and to visit next time. But I also feel that when I'm really developing the connection that you talked about, Chris, is that helps me remember anyway. They become like a person in my life. And so I kind of know who I'm about to talk to and what they're going through. And I can remember most of the major things to work on. One of the things I wanted to address earlier too was in terms of a 30-minute session. I've never been at one of these coaching corners, but I actually have had, used to have 30-minute coaching sessions. I usually do an hour now, but in establishing the connection and trust, it's also trusting yourself with that fine art of interrupting. And when you're listening deeply beneath the words, it becomes clear to you sometimes when to sort of point out something in a gentle way and say, what is that? And then go in that direction. And it can lead to something great, or if it's not right, it just be in a way that allows the client to sort of redirect. But I find that an affirmation of that connection is the active listening part. And if they feel that they were heard, then that is something that can open up a space even within a 30-minute session.
Yeah, thank you. That was great. I have a question to the group, and I'm going to ask Lorraine and Karen to chime in. And this is the discussion that we had between Mark and Chris about what is a relationship building versus networking, right? So my question to both of you is, how did you use your lunch hour? Where did you sit? Who did you connect with? Did you do the relationship building, or were you networking? Either one of you can go.
I had another commitment. I left and came back. So
Okay.
I wasn't there during lunch, but okay, you can talk Lorraine too, but I know that some people said they were going to sit with people they didn't know so they could network more. But I don't know what you did, Lorraine.
I left as well because I had made a commitment. I am sort of on a mission right now to nurture and build relationships, a lot of which had just sort of gone by the wayside. So I actually left to go nurture another relationship, which hopefully will be useful. But like I said, I definitely did the icebreaker was a good way to do that. And then as people were signing up, that was also, and just sort of standing, waiting to sign up, it was an opportunity to just highlight what coaching can do for you. I wish I had stayed the whole day. If I get chosen for another event, I will plan to stay the day because I see the opportunity. And I do take now these days, instead of just trying to network to anybody and everybody, I try to speak about the type of client, what my clients sound like, and the person I'm speaking with either resonates with that or they don't. And then if they do, opportunity to build a relationship. Yes. If they don't, move on. That's me.
Yeah, I encourage some of the coaches who are attending. I said, when you have lunch, please don't sit down together because you're doing justice. Always spread out, because what an opportunity to be at the table of 10, right? And if you're by yourself as one of the coaches, to really either you can build relationship and or network regardless, right? So networking is easy. Getting their URL for their LinkedIn and so forth like that, and have a small brief chat. But sometimes, just want to pull away after dinner or lunch or something like that and have a deeper conversation as well too. That has worked for me too sometimes. Any other comments on that?
I do have a question to you, Kaleem, or the rest of the team. Sometimes I struggle. I have a coach, and my coach encourages me to reach out to my first degree network in LinkedIn, which is my main form of creating clients. And sometimes I struggle with connecting with someone in my network without feeling guilty that the reason behind it is that I want to reconnect for, the purpose of potentially them referring me to somebody or them introducing me to their company. So there's that little bit of struggle when I say, oh, hi, Karen, we haven't talked to each other in 5 years since we worked together. Hello. So are there any best practices, advice in here that can help with that?
Great question. Yeah. Anybody wants to take on?
Cynthia, if you're talking, you're muted.
Who was that? Sorry.
I thought Cynthia was talking, but no, I guess she was not.
Elena, I think I'm going a bit through this learning journey. And what I continue coming back to is truly valuing who I am and what I bring, and thereby changing the intent of why I'm engaging. I'm engaging to show people who I am today, not who I was 10 years ago. And then without an agenda, having that conversation, and then trusting that I will attract, without understanding how, but knowing I will, the right clients. Which is trusting oneself and thus valuing, which are two key ingredients that I'm cultivating as I step into this journey, which the mind cannot understand, but my inner knowing knows.
That's a great
That's
point.
great. Something else I do is that I don't even try to sell the coaching or tell them, hey, would you be interested in anything like that? I just have a conversation and let my presence be felt and let them ask me questions. So what do you do? And that happens quite often. So what do you do? And then I say, this is what I do. It's still in my mind. I'm not reaching out to them saying, how can I hook them and sort of pull me? No, if I have made an impression and if they like me, so build a further relationship or even have questions, right? Let them come to me, because that is going to go far longer than just, telling them about yourself and so forth.
Chris, I totally agree with you that, again, forming those relationships, and people ask, well, what are you doing? What are you focused on? And for me, that's where I get the connections, is they go, hey, I talked to somebody, I would love to refer them to you. Would you mind? It's like, no, pass along my information, without soliciting them for, those referrals or contacts. People, again, if you develop that trust, that rapport, that relationship, it's so important, because then they will want to direct people to you. Because why? They trust you.
Yeah.
They respect you and what you do and stuff. So that's kind of what's worked for me. I would never make a living selling cars, because I'm not that high pressure kind of thing or pushing. But again, we work by referrals. Well, referrals for me is, all right, if you like what I do, if you think I've helped you, then let other people know. I'm here to support anyone, to encourage anyone. And that's, again, I think that's what helps build a sustainable, practice, business in that aspect.
So Mark,
picking up, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So Mark, some people would say this is all nice to hear, trust and value and connection, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is we need money at the end of the month. What would you respond to that?
It'll be there.
It'll be there.
It'll be, and again, the best advertisement is not putting it on TV and all that stuff. The best advertisement in sustainability, long-term wise, is the clients that you serve. And at the end of the day, if they believe that you really did a fantastic job in supporting them and directing them, they will refer other people to you. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, if you think I help, let other people know. Right? I'm not going to ask you for names and phone numbers and emails. You know, again, they're the marketing people. You think about your clients. If your client can refer 2 or 3 people to you, and you're seeing, say, 20 per month, then 3 people at 20 per month is 60 additional referrals. The math adds up. And so, again, it helps out with sustainability in that aspect. And so when you start looking at, oh my gosh, what about the bottom line, me paying my bills and stuff? My thought is once you get going and you establish those relationships and you have those professional, breakthroughs with your clientele, they will be your mouthpiece and market for you better than you can ever do yourself.
Another
Yeah.
source of referrals is other coaches. So like, I resonated somewhat with what Lorraine was saying. And then she mentioned that she talks about, here's the kinds of clients I serve. And it's good for us to know what other coaches did. Like I recommended somebody who came to me, I recommended him to a coach I met a couple weeks ago who really specializes more in what this person wanted and would do a better job at this more niche thing than I would. And I've also gotten people that way too. So I think we can also support each other in referrals too.
Dr. Mears, you had a very good comment. I love it. You want to share? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, thank you. Yes. Yeah. I have a lot of people that follow me, but not a lot of people sometimes that reach out. And this particular friend reached out, and it was like, we had been talking for years. And so she was, I think, had some confidence issues in reaching out because she had just lost her job. She was just feeling very defeated. And by the end of the conversation, she signed up and I actually did the work pro bono because I told her I couldn't charge her. She was an old friend, and she in turn recommended me clients and she wrote a recommendation on LinkedIn and my website, and has just been like a really great supporter of my practice. So that was something that, although she asked me if, how much, I said, I can't charge you. So sometimes when you do that pro bono work, it does come back like 100-fold in some different ways.
I think, Lorraine, you had the same situation, except it was 10 years, then 15. Similar situation. Anything that you want to add to your experience?
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, I was so nervous to reach out to her, but she is a senior executive in a large company who could be a great connection for me for referring clients. But I wanted to be, I didn't want to have that thing in the back of my mind, just like what we were saying. Like, I'm not only reaching out to her because I want to see if she can refer a client to me. I mean, I actually do care about her, and we did have great career times together. So when I reached out and said, hey, do you have time for a coffee catch up? I couldn't believe she said yes, but she did. And then once we got on this morning, I mean, she talked the whole time. She couldn't wait to tell me all about what she'd been doing. So I felt really honored about that. And I think it was real, and it was the right thing to do, to build, I put it in my mind, like, I'm building a professional relationship. It doesn't have to be, this is my best friend who, I've ignored you for 10 years and I'm not. No, this is a professional relationship, and I want to keep it alive.
Yeah, thank you. So I always like to learn, right, new things. And a good friend of mine at LHH, his name is Mark Tenenbaum. And so he and I did a project in Lincoln, Nebraska for Capital One Bank. So we would go like on Sundays and come back on Thursdays, right? And we were training people and helping the folks. Cabela's was the like a they sold out their credit card processing to Capital One, and so that's where a lot of folks were leaving. But anyway, we were eating dinner one night, and we were talking about how do you get clients and so forth like that. And Mark said, very interesting, he says, Kaleem, you see everybody right here? They're all my clients, potential clients. You know, so I thought kind of that was a very interesting perspective, and it is so true though, because you just never know who you're going to connect with and how your conversation will end up, and what you may end up in a relationship or networking. You just don't know, and I like that approach because now I go to either grocery store or some of the events or something like that. I don't necessarily think about that they are my potential client, but think about it such a huge way, right? I mean, everybody's a potential client. Any thoughts, anything that I'm thinking totally out of line here or what?
No, but I have a question. Several
Yes.
people in the last couple of months have mentioned to me coaching with either Better Up or Ezra. And I actually have a meeting with somebody from LHH in 2 weeks. Well, yeah, 2 weeks, next week. Anyway, can you tell me, has anybody else done any coaching with either one of them? I know you can talk about Ezra, but I'd also like to hear about Better Up.
I did work with LHH. Actually, I worked with Mark Tenenbaum, so I know him very well.
Okay,
He's very
yeah.
engaging guy. So, and I did it probably, want to say it's been 5-6 years since I've done work with them. And Better Up is a new, is like a new, I think, branch off for them, because they typically did outplacement and like different types of services in that area. What role specifically are you interviewing for?
Well, I'm not knowing that it's not really an interview. I mean, it is in a sense, it's a conversation. And I've already spoken with somebody else in a different department, but she really wasn't the appropriate person. I'm interested in coaching, like as a contract coach for LHH.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they do some different things. Ezra, I actually have a contact with Ezra. The Better Up, I'm not sure, but I do know several colleagues that work with Ezra, and that's more like the executive, very high level coaching. The Better Up platform, I'm not familiar with. I don't know if Colleen, you know more about that platform.
Yeah, Kaleem works with Ezra, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I do.
And
So
I've done some Better
Can you
Up
talk
too.
about the model a little bit?
I'm sorry?
Can you talk about the model, the Ezra model a little bit?
Yeah, so let me clear up something about LHH and coaching. It used to be where LHH also would do the career management and career transition and coaching as well too, right? But now they have combined everything under the umbrella of Ezra. So LHH strictly does, yeah, their career transition and management and training and so forth like that, notifications and those type of things, right? So there's a classical model which is we all use typically when we go to coaching schools and so forth like that. Essentially, what happens is that we have our video bio and audio bio with them with the Ezra, and then when they are having a new client, for example, PepsiCo or some other company, and then they will present. First of all, their commitment is 10 hours per week. So if you are going to work with them, at least they ask you that. So if you have that bandwidth, then they will take the video audio bios and present it to those potential folks, and they will choose one of you from that. And then you start, either 4 months or 6 months. So I've had mostly 6 months engagements, typically unlimited sessions, and few 9 months actually. So typically it's a classic. Now there is another Ezra X, which is coaching for the business folks. So people who have businesses and who are the owners of the companies or at a higher level, and we do business coaching for them as well too. So that is Ezra X, pays a little bit more money, of course, as you know. Yeah, and so you can definitely have a conversation. Now, if any of you are looking for just to spend some time and make some extra money, not too much, LHH is looking for some consultants, by the way, right? These are career transition consultants. And typically what happens in that bandwidth is that they will get you in, they will train you basically on what are the key things and what are the platforms that are available, right? There's a very good platform. It's called CRN, Career Resource Network. It has everything, including the LinkedIn Learning, as well as databases of companies and so forth like that, and a roadmap and everything. So yeah, they are looking for, this is a part-time position, and you'll be assigned folks that unfortunately they're laid off, and you can always connect with them, and you have about 30 minutes typically sessions wise and so forth to help them. Resume wise, they also have dedicated people who actually help the people and review the resumes for, we call it branding specialist. And then you can help them with the mock interviews and so forth like that. Before I say anything, Joel, you have any comments?
Really more of a question. Sorry, I have my camera off because no one needs to see me eating lunch. Question about what I know those platforms, particularly Ezra and BetterUp, those contracts give the coachee, the client, the ability to have unlimited coaching. So, like from your experience, how often do the clients take advantage of that? And I'm assuming that those models are such that the more the client wants to engage with you, is there a benefit to financial benefit as a coach to trying to draw more of that client's time into the coaching process when the bill is being paid for someone on a fixed rate?
Yeah. So thank you for asking the question. So number one, like we were talking earlier about building relationship, right? And once you have that relationship, I never try to sort of, how can I get more sessions scheduled because it's unlimited session. The way I use the unlimited session is that I tell them, say, let's say our next session is going to be next Friday. And something pops up on Tuesday morning, right? And it is bugging you and you need to talk to your coach. Guess what? You can always look up at my calendar and schedule a session. I don't want you to be frustrated until the next Friday because something happened next Tuesday. So let's go and talk about that and get it over with, right? And so this is way to use the unlimited session. Besides, to be honest with you, all of us know that these guys are busy, either traveling or meetings, and mostly meetings, right? So I don't try to impose upon them at all, but I just let them know that I want you to feel comfortable that any given point in time, if you need to talk to your coach, right? I always say that. And so I want them to feel comfortable to come and schedule it. I also give my cell phone number too. And I said, if you're out of hours, if you can't schedule something, call me. It's okay. So it's like a very personal relationship that I built with many, many folks. And they feel good about that Kaleem is willing to go out of the way. And it doesn't take much of your time, to be honest with you. So this is how I use the unlimited sessions. Does it help you, Mark? Sorry, Joel?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And I actually work with the LHH career transition as well as BetterUp. Now the amount of time, and so the BetterUp program I work with, there isn't any unlimited. There is limitations on it with that, but it's also, you can limit as a coach. You put your calendar out there for whatever hours you want, and they require that you put 5 hours out there. I actually limit it. I only put like 5 hours a week out there, and I don't get that many people through BetterUp. And I think I've talked to other people who are doing it, and it's okay with me because I'm busy enough otherwise with multiple things. But some of the people are frustrated about that they don't get as much work from BetterUp as they want.
Karen, a follow-up question to that is, for people who have a full-time job and are wanting to coach weekend hours and evening hours in their own time zone, is BetterUp flexible about you having odd hours that maybe are odd to you, but great for people? Okay.
You can put, 2 in the morning or whatever, and you might have somebody from Singapore sign up. You just don't know. Anybody from anywhere can sign up. But you can specify whatever time you want to put out there. That's one great thing about a lot of these platforms is you control your availability.
Ezra is not as flexible about the weekend. Strictly, it's Monday to Friday. Typically, I have one client, she was an attorney, and she said, Kaleem, my best time is Saturday morning. Would you be open to do that? And I said, yeah, no problem. So she was in Florida, and it worked great for me. So it was 8 o'clock my time, 9 o'clock her time, and we had a great sessions actually. And
How
one
much
thing,
is the compensations for these different groups? What is the range when you look at?
yeah,
and
it ranges. For classical is one thing, and for Ezra X is another. So it ranges anywhere from 70s to 100 and so forth for Ezra X as well. One thing I wanted to make a comment for Kelly is that typically what happens is that once we have new clients that they're coming to us, then we have a meeting with the HR folks and maybe most likely HR and learning and development folks typically for about an hour, and it's paid, by the way, too. This is where they talk about their company principles, their company goals and objectives, and what does the culture looks like, why they chose Ezra, what do they expect out of our coaches and so forth like that, right? Who are these people that are going to be participating in it? What level they are, what is the gender connections and so forth like that, male, female, that gives you an idea about it, right? And so they may have a new CEO and they have just changed their strategy and so forth like that. So yeah, learning about the company in the beginning really helps out tremendously. So that is one of the things I was missing.
Kaleem, it's 1 o'clock in Houston.
Wow, already.
I know the time went by really fast because this was such a great conversation, so much participation and great input from everyone. So thank you very much, Kaleem. Thank you for leading this session for us. We're looking forward to you leading another session. And thank you everyone for your participation. We're going to be stopping the recording. It's going to be available for anyone that wants to replay it. An email will be sent. And
thank you all very much. Yeah, that was a great session. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you, Elena.
Thank you so much.
You're
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
welcome.
Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.